Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Cooper of Cooper's Mobile Mechanics. On this episode I'm going to be showing you a few jobs scattered out throughout today, which is Friday, and then a few jobs next week as well. So sort of pick and choose in which jobs I think might be interesting to you. So if you haven't seen any of my videos before, that's essentially what I'm showing you. So I tend to show you different jobs throughout the week. Sometimes I'll show you a full job from start to finish, basically just everything I do as a mobile mechanic. So if that's the sort of thing that you'll find interesting, please hit the subscribe button for more content like it and to keep up to date with any future videos. So the first job we got this morning is a Volkswagen Golf for a replacement clutch slave cylinder. So the reason we're replacing it is because the clutch pedal, when you push it down, isn't coming back up as it should. So it's staying down, then it's slowly coming back up. Sometimes it's staying down all the time. You have to flick it up with your foot. And sometimes it's just sort of slowly coming up like that. Now with this kind of fault, it's either going to be the clutch slave cylinder, which is here, or it will be the master cylinder, which is located behind the clutch pedal, inside, sort of back here. Now the way that I managed to diagnose which one it was is by putting a clamp on the flexi pipe there. So that's the pipe that goes to the slave cylinder. So when you push the pedal down, pushes the fluid and then pushes the clutch. So I'll clamp that flexi off here, and then when I go back inside to push the pedal, it's completely solid. So that to me tells me that this master cylinder is okay, because if it was the seals that had failed on the master cylinder, with it clamped off down there, this would still go down to the floor and still be acting the same way. With it being clamped off and now going solid, that tells me that it's going to be the slave cylinder, or potentially it could be a clutch issue. But I'll show you how I found out it was the slave cylinder as well. So when I took the slave cylinder out, you try and squeeze it. So basically pushing the rod here. You try and push it back. It's very stiff. It's quite notchy as well. Sort of struggling a little bit to get it back. Whereas the new one, it's very nice and free and easy to go back. So we're going to swap that out, bleed it all through, and hopefully that will sort it. I've got the pressure bleeder on, and then obviously I've taken the clamp off the flexi pipe, and the bleed screw is just down there. So I just need to get 11mm spanner on there, open it up, and then it should bleed the system through. And then what I'll do is bleed it through, take the pressure off the bottle, go inside, pump the clutch pedal a couple of times, and then do the process again, and then double check it, make sure it's okay. So now the clutch pedal should go down and come back up. Lovely. I just want to build everything back together, get the airbox back in, and then a little trim to the intake. These grips, by the way, if anyone watching this works on their own car, if you haven't got a set of these, I urge you to go and get some. They are so good. So for these sorts of clamps, so you find them on like coolant pipes and things like that, I see a lot of people struggling to get mole grips or just normal pliers, and they're just slipping around. These things, you squeeze them and then they lock in place, so you can move them around, and then when you want to put them back on, just put it in place, flip that, and there you go. So the shape's like that basically. So they slot in, one there, squeeze it, and then locks in place, and pull the tab, and they're off. So yeah, if you haven't got a set of these, definitely it's worth getting them, and they're cheap as well. They're not expensive, but I've had these for about 15 years or something. Never done me any wrong. That's all done. The only thing left to do now is take it for a road test to make sure it's all okay. Right, so today we've got a Volkswagen T6. We're going to be doing the EGR cooler, just down here, and also the coolant pump for the EGR cooler as well, which is located at the bottom near the radiator. So this is one that I diagnosed previously. It's got the EGR cooler insufficient flow fault, and it's also got the coolant pump. There's a couple of faults there for the EGR coolant pump as well. So I've had a look. The EGR cooler is blocked up, and I suspect the reason is because the EGR coolant pump is not working properly. That's caused it to block up. So we had to change both today. So in order to get access to the cooler, I need to get a load of this out of the way. I need to get the header tank out of the way. So which means draining the coolant. So if I'm going to drain the coolant, I might as well replace the coolant pump first, which is down here. It's got a couple of pipes going to it. There's a little wiring connect on the top there, and then it's screwed on here with a couple of probably T10 screws or something. Oh, so that's the new coolant pump in. I'll put the coolant header tank out of the way. There's a bit more room. I'll take the fuel filter and the fuel lines out of the way. Sort of push those over to this side. And then got another pipe here that looks like that's going to need to come out of the way. I've essentially got, so with the kit, got the EGR cooler. Everything's from TPS or genuine bits. This pipe, we've got a new one of these. There's another pipe at the back of the cooler going to the exhaust side. Got a new one of those. Yeah, for now I just need to get everything out of the way, give myself some good room so I can actually see what I'm doing. So I've taken the fuel filter out of the way, taken off a couple of plug connectors, taken out these sensors. There's two of them. You can see on the end of there, so you've got the soot that's built up, so that goes inside the EGR cooler, just down there. So yeah, you can see how blocks it is in there. And we've got coolant pipe here, coolant pipe there, it runs down, that needs to come out of the way. That pipe, I may, depending on access on the bottom bolts of the cooler, I might need to take the starter motor out as well. But I'll have a look and see how much room I've got basically. And that's the new cooler in. I've got it bolted in. A couple of coolant pipes on already. Pretty much now just got to reassemble it. So starter motor's got to go back in. Pipe on the back here to the exhaust. This pipe here. A couple more coolant pipes. And then fuel filter and all that sort of thing. And then let's fill it up with coolant and get it bled. Right, so I've just had the engine running for a little while. While I was in there, I noticed you can smell like exhaust fumes. You can smell it in the cab. So I've just come in here, had a little look, just put my hand around along this pipe, the back pipe there. And I noticed when you put your hand under here, you can feel a bit of air blowing out, like as the engine's running. So I've replaced this pipe. Got a new one, came with the whole kit. What I noticed, had a look at the old pipe. A little seal on there, wasn't there? So that seal has obviously come out from inside there without me realising. So not a big issue. Just got to take this pipe back off, get the rubber seal in there, and then put this back on. It's not a huge drama. Those two bolts are pretty fiddly to get to. That's the only thing. But yeah, that is why you want to check your work after you're doing a job. Right, next up we've got Audi A3, and he's got a leaky DPF gasket. So down in there, he's saying when you're in the cab, you can smell exhaust fumes. You can see down there all the soot that's around there on the clamp. You can see it all around here as well. So going to be putting a new gasket and clamp on there. What I'm also going to be doing when I do the job is you've got a bracket on the DPF, so you have to take the bracket off because you need to be able to move the DPF over to get the gasket and the clamp on. There is a certain sequence for tightening that bracket up to make sure that the DPF is nice and straight when you do it all up together. Otherwise, because what you don't want is the DPF to be slightly over like that. Wind that clamp on, and then have like a little bit of a gap. What I'm also going to do as well on the bracket for the DPF, when I worked at Fiat, I remember there was a technical bulletin for this particular fault. So when you change the gasket and the clamp, you took the bracket off completely, and you've got the two mounting holes that go onto the studs. You've kind of elongate those, so get like a little die grinder or something, elongate the holes, and that just allows a little bit more movement if needed, again just to allow the DPF to get on nice and straight. Essentially what I need to do is get that clamp off, which annoyingly it's a little Allen key socket, and you have to get to it from underneath. So mostly what I'm going to be doing is from underneath the car, but while I'm up here it's quite hard to see here, somewhere down there's a 13mm bolt, which has got a smaller bracket for the top part of the DPF, so I'll get that off now while I'm up here. Then I'll jack it up and pretty much do most of it from underneath. So that's the bracket in question. So I just want to take these two 13mm nuts off, and then the other side of these studs there and there, there's two 13mm as well. So I'm going to take that bracket completely off. I'll get this out of the way, just give me a bit more room, and then up there somewhere, once this is out of the way, you'll be able to see the clamp. So with the bracket out, so I'm going to use a little die grinder, just try and elongate these holes a little bit, not too much. Again, it's just a little bit, just to allow for a little bit of movement. I did notice when I took this off, when I slackened it, the whole thing kind of shifted over slightly, like it was under quite a bit of tension. So I think elongating these will help a little bit. This is the old gasket and clamp as well. You see all the soot around the gasket where it's been leaking out. And the clamp's completely covered as well. It's no wonder it's been smelling in the cab so much. Right, so put them back together. So I'm just cleaning up all the soot that was around here. Just cleaning that off with a bit of Scotch pad. And then I can get the gasket and pop that in there onto the DPF. It's got little clips to keep it in place. These are razor sharp, so you need to be really careful. I've cut myself countless times on these. And then, like I said, there is a sequence for putting these together. So I'm just got the gasket in. I'm going to put this clamp on, hook it over, but don't tighten that bolt up just yet. So you're just going to leave it in place so the DPF is where it needs to be. Then you get underneath, put the bracket on, but again, only do those hand tight. So again, you're just putting the bracket on so the DPF is just secure where it should be. Then you come back up here, tighten the clamp, and then you tighten the bolts for the bracket. So the bracket's on, just finger tight with the nuts, so you're still able to sort of wiggle the DPF around a little bit, and then just want to torque that clamp up. So that's 7 Newton meters that needs to be. And now I can get underneath there and tighten the brackets up as well. And then piece this back together. I just moved the DPF pressure sensor just out of the way so that I can get to that bolt over there. I've just got it running up now, just making sure nothing's leaking from that clamp and gasket, but everything's looking good so far. So now I can get packed up and head on to the next job. So I've said before about the highs and lows of being self-employed and doing this job, but this morning is a bit of a low point. So after the first job, my next job was supposed to be going over and doing basically the same thing, doing the DPF clamp and gasket, and also a turbo oil return pipe. So it was all set, ordered all the parts, and they said from TPS, they said the oil return pipe and the gasket would turn up this morning. So I was like, yeah, that's fine. I can go and do the first job, and then I'll go and collect the part because they'll deliver it to my house. I'll go and collect it, and then I'll head over to the second job. Then I got a phone call from TPS first thing this morning to say that the turbo return pipe is on back order. So when I ordered it, they didn't tell me it was on back order, but he phoned me up this morning and said it's on back order. It's going to be like 7 to 10 days before it arrives. It was great. So I had to message my customer and say, look, I'm really sorry about this, but I'm going to have to rearrange. Told him why, said the part's on back order. There's kind of nothing we can do about it really. We're going to have to rearrange. It's going to be, like I said, 7 to 10 days before the part arrives. Absolutely a lot apologised, like I said. Now what I would hoped was that he'd have a bit of understand that it's completely out of my control. Like the parts haven't arrived, haven't got the parts here to fit, so we can't do the job. It's out of my control. I'm not just cancelling on him just for the sake of it. But he didn't understand, did he? Not one bit. Got really snotty messages back, kicking off, saying it was awful that I'm cancelling last minute on the same day, this, that, and the other. Which, yeah, I understand his frustrations. It's annoying, of course. Then going on saying he's going to leave bad reviews on Google. He's going to go on social media and put things on social media for people to see, this, that, and the other. So I just messaged him back and said, look, I understand your frustrations, but it is completely out of my control. The parts aren't here. They didn't tell me it was on back order when I ordered it. I was under the assumption I was going to be getting the parts this morning ready to fit. And then they just told me this morning it's on back order. So, yeah, it's completely out of my hands. There's nothing I can do about it. So, yeah, so they're the sort of things you've got to deal with. People just not understanding, really. Like, it just doesn't understand that it's not my fault. You know, I'm not just cancelling. I'm willy-nilly just for the sake of it. It's something that's completely out of my hands. Which, yeah, I would have liked to think people would understand that, but apparently some people don't, do they? So, if anyone has that in the future, if you have a tradesman cancel on your last thing for a reason like that, something that's completely out of his hands and something that he can't control, just try and understand and don't kick off like this person did, because it doesn't help anyone, does it? The next job then, we've got a Fiat 500 for service. I've got the oil filter, the pollen filter and the air filter. Spark plugs aren't due yet according to the age and the mileage, so we're just doing these for now. And then we're also going to be replacing the hinge for the driver's door handle. So they're really common on these Fiat 500s. The hinge breaks and then the handle sticks out like that. Fiat do a hinge kit, a little repair kit. So we're going to take the handle out and then swap this over. When it's in this condition, it is just hinge replacement. If you leave it too long, eventually the handle will break and it will need a whole complete handle. So if you have got a Fiat 500 and the handle breaks like that, it's best to get it replaced as soon as you can, because it'll be a lot cheaper. So I've just taken off the chrome trim around the handle, which allows me to get to that bolt there, and there's a little trim here, so you've got 2 bolts there and there. And I think that's everything. You've just got the usual trim clips dotted around, so you've just got to give it a bit of a tug, get this door panel off. Now that inner door panel's off, I want to get this door membrane out of the way, at least this much back here, so I can get to the handle. It's like a sort of thin foamy material, so you want to be quite careful with it. You don't want to just cut into it. I've seen people do that. They just cut into it to gain access, which defeats the whole point of the membrane, because it does serve a purpose. So it's essentially to stop water and things from getting into the car. So if you didn't have this door membrane here, you get rainwater coming in, end up flooding the car. So what I'm going to do is, along here, it's like a sticky seal. I'll get a razor blade, a little Stanley knife, cut along there, try and do it as neat as I can along the seal, so then I can fold it over, and then when I put it back on, you can just stick it back on all the way around, make it nice and neat. Now with that folded back, in here there's 2 rods that are on the handle. I need to get those off, and then the T30 bolt there. I just need to get the door handle out with a 10mm nut there, get the door handle out, and I can swap the hinge over. I've done a few of these now, and they're not as easy as they look. Getting them out, it's almost as if the hole in the door is just not big enough to get the handle out. It can be a real pain to get out, so you need to be careful. You don't want to bend the door or damage the paint or anything like that. Yeah, well, I've just realised with this handle, it kind of comes out far enough where I've actually been able to get the rest of it out. So it's basically, that's your hinge there. So you've got a little screw that holds it in, kind of goes in towards the handle. So I've just managed to get a little bit in there. There's enough room to get it out, so I'm hoping I should be able to get the hinge in without having to take the handle fully out. Like I say, I've got to get it so far, but it just gets stuck in there, and it's really real pain to try and get these out. If I can get that in without having to set the handle out, that'll be a winner. Look at that. It's in. I can all bolt it back together. When you've done a job a few times, and then you do it one time, you think, have I just been stupid the last few times I've been doing it? Because I've been struggling to get these handles out so I can swap it over. And it turns out I probably could have just done it this way every time. And it's in. So it's all back together, the rod's back in. So now the membrane, like I was saying, got it along there. You just put it all back as it was. So in reality, if anyone took it off, you'd be hard pressed to find out to see if anyone had been here before. Which ideally is how you want to leave a job. All I've got to do now is clean it up, clean up the chrome handle, a bit on the paint here. Got a bit of sort of glue from that membrane on my finger. It's made marks on the chrome, so let's give it a good clean up. It'll be as good as new. A little bit like that. Like I say, in an ideal world, you want to leave a job looking like it's not been touched. Don't leave any marks. You certainly don't want to be cutting the membrane and leaving that looking a mess. So, yeah, get it all looking nice, do a proper job. So I just need to get the door panel back on, and then I can crack on with the service. Right, so now with the service, got the oil drain in. I'm going to change the air filter while that's happening. So I'll just take this pipe out from here, and then we've got some 7mm screws. There's about 6 of them holding it in. Get this off. The air filter will be in there. Get the oil filter out. Slip the new one in there. And then pop it back in. Get it all screwed up. So now I'm just going to check out all the steering and suspension components, brakes, tyres, everything like that. Give a good report to the customer. The low arm, I replaced that about 18 months ago, so I know that bush is going to be okay, the ball joint's going to be okay. One thing the customer has said about is the clutch. She said, I think a couple of times the clutch pedal sort of stuck to the floor and she couldn't get it in gear. So I'm just having a look at this joint here. They're quite common for leaking. Not leaking at the minute, but there is a bit of a crack in there, so yeah, that might be something to keep your eye on. Well, that earth strap there. The earth strap's looking quite green, isn't it? Again, they're quite common on these cars for corroding and then causing non-start issues. So yeah, I might sort of report that to the customer, just let them know about it. It might be something worth changing before it becomes an issue. But yeah, as far as the clutch is concerned, at the minute everything's okay. Like I say, it only happened a couple of times, so yeah, I'll make them aware about that crack, because that might start leaking sometime in the near future. But yeah, it may be an issue with the clutch itself, but for the minute, I can't really say 100% as it's not actually faulting. So I'll carry on, measure the tyres and brakes, everything like that, give the report to the customer. I've just got the pollen filter, fill it with oil and reset the service light and all that sort of thing. So that's basically the service done. Service light's reset, gone through the fault memory check, all that sort of thing. Stamp the service book. Just doing the tyre pressures now. Overall, car's in good condition. Just those couple of things I showed you, like the earth strap and a little crack on the clutch pipe. But yeah, other than that, it's a good little car. Right, so that's everything for this week. I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode. If you have, please like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.